All right. Hi, I'm Ricky. I am one half of the tender trainers. So we at the tender trainers, we train subcontractors on how to tender effectively into their full potential. So our goal is to help make this process as simple and successful as possible, so you can win those bigger contracts with less stress. I try and do this on a regular basis. So yeah, feel free to jump on or DM me a topic that would be good to cover, etc. Yeah. All right. Right. Let's get into it then. So this week, the topic that for discussion is around what happens with your estimate after you win the job. Right. So my question to you is, what are you doing with your estimate after you win the job? Is the estimate something you're tapping back into? Or is it sitting in a folder that you're never opening again, never looking at again? Um, so, just for your information, a lot of the guys that I speak with, they are in the latter category where the estimate is not looked at again. But let's make it clear, the estimate is an important document. When you win the job, it is your budget. It's not a set and forget document. Ultimately, what we need to be avoiding is the estimate and the price that you won the job on just being forgotten, and you're going and building the job, spending money a bit willy-nilly and not sticking to any budget, right? Just the same with any of your personal finances and the like. You have a certain amount to spend. You can't go over that budget, or you shouldn't be going over the budget. So in other words, going over the budget unnecessarily and it affecting your bottom line. So you're not making as much profit or from the job because you've spent too much money. So we need to stay connected to our estimate. The estimate really guides the job commercially, right? So there's a few things that we can do to stay connected to our estimate, and I'm going to go through them now with you. So with our labor, when we price the job from the program, and if you've kind of been following us, this is the recommended way that we price our labor and our prelims, is pricing it from a program. When we do it this way, that program that we price the labor from becomes a delivery tool, right? So when it comes time to build the job, what we need to be doing is we need to be resourcing the job with the same crews that we priced it with. So whether it be 2 or 3 skilled workers and 1 laborer or whatever it was, we resource the job to the same crew that we priced the job for. Then we drive the program. So if we drive the program, we know if we meet the program, we're on budget. If we go over the program with that crew, we are over budget, and vice versa. Obviously, if we're under the program, we are under budget. So whoever in your team, whether it's you or it's someone else, is responsible for driving the program, responsible for the delivery. I would call that like the project management role or the supervision role. They need to be aware of the crew allowance in the tender, in the estimate, and they need to better the program that we used in our estimate as well, to make sure that we pull our labor short of our budget. Right, so what about materials and subcontractors? So again, the estimate is your budget for your materials and subcontractors. So whoever's responsible for purchasing materials, whoever's responsible for engaging the subcontractors, they need to be aware of the budget, right? They need to have access to the estimate to be aware of the budget. And they need to be making an effort, not just to meet the budget, but to better buy if possible. So for example, for a floor, you might have had an allowance of 20 square meters to supply the tiles, and we might be able to get them for 15, and we've bettered our budget then, and we've pulled our costs to better our estimate. Same with subcontractors, exactly the same thing. Right, moving on to plant and staff. So again, The estimate's our budget for this as well. Similar to the labor crews, we can't engage more plant or people than what we've allowed for in the estimate, or we're going to be over our budget, right? So if we allowed for a 15-ton excavator, if that was what was required, we're not going to go and put a more expensive 25-ton excavator on. We're going to use that piece of equipment, ideally. And same amount, if it was one excavator, we're not going to go and put two excavators on. Otherwise, obviously, we're going to blow our budget in these respects. So again, whoever's responsible for hiring plant, whoever's responsible for allocating staff as well, staff kind of fits into this category, they need to be aware of what was allowed for and the program that we allowed for it, which is the duration that we allowed for it as well. So was it a 6-week construction period, for example? And importantly as well, when we're finished with equipment, we off-hire it quickly, right? We don't keep incurring the cost for plant that's just sitting there not being utilized, which we make an effort to off-hire it quickly. Cool. So, yeah, hopefully you can see this, but it's really important that you make those who are responsible for resourcing, purchasing, etc., have access to the estimate and hence the budget, which will help you with staying on track and avoiding overspending. If you have a supervisor who orders materials and he has no connection or never seen the estimate, he's just buying willy-nilly, like there's a chance that he's going to spend more, or there's a good chance he'll probably spend a little bit more than what is required and not be connected to what he needs to be able to spend, right? And importantly as well, when you stay connected in this way, you are going to see when you're starting to exceed the budget, when your costs are starting to see this budget, you should be able to see this in advance a little bit as well. So be prepared as well to make adjustments to your plan so that you can stay on track with the budget if it looks like we're going to go over. Okay, cool. Yeah. So ensuring that the budget talks to delivery. This is a really important tool ensuring projects profitable. So stay connected to your estimate. Don't let it be a document that you never look at again. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it for today. Stay tuned. I will cover another impactful tendering topic in my next live. I try and do them on a quite regular basis. If you found this useful as well, we have a YouTube channel with other free content. Have a look for the tender trainers and keep an eye out for our tender talk as well, which is our free training session that we hold monthly. That's it. Thank you and see you again soon.